right, with the legendary Rafael Lovato Jr. Are you the only American Grand Slam black belt Grand Slam champion?
Yes, I believe so. And I was the first person to ever do it as well.
First to do it for sure.
Yeah. Well, first person, not just American.
Oh, first person.
Yeah.
No way. Black belt.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was almost an accident because
all that Lord Irvin marketing, huh? Grand Slam champions.
Yeah. I did it
subconsciously. Got put in your head.
Well, no. The Euros had just started.
Okay.
I think the first Euros was 04,
Man, that's
05.
amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah, 04 or 05 was the first Euros, and they didn't even have a name. The Grand Slam didn't exist yet.
Right.
There was the Triple Crown. The Triple Crown, you remember, Pans, Brasileiro, and Worlds. But in 2006, I was very sick, and I had to miss the Worlds. I actually got mono
oh wow,
a week before I was supposed to fly to Brazil. I already had my ticket, everything, and I was training hard with Saulo and Shanji, and I was like so fatigued, and I was like, something's wrong, guys, something's wrong, and did the test, some blood work, and they figured out I had it, and I had to stay home. Shanji took off, and he double golded that year, and it was the last one in Brazil, and I was so sad to have missed it. Yeah, I was so sad to have missed it, and we were going to do heavyweight together, and I really believe we could have closed it out that year. And so anyways, going into 07, I told Shanji, I was like, man, I want to do it all this year. You know, I missed the Worlds last year, and I got my black belt at the end of 04. So I'd only fought in one Worlds in 05. And then I missed 06, and I was like, I just went into 07 so hungry. I was like, man, let's just do it all. And the Euros had just started, and I was like, have you ever been to Portugal? And he's like, no. And I was like, what do you think? Should we do it? And he's like, yeah, let's go. And I said, all right. So he and I, we flew out to Lisbon, and we started there. You know, I was able to win, and I also took third in the absolute. And then the Pans came, and you always do the Pans, did the Pans, won there. And Brazil was something real special for me because we just heard that the Worlds were going to move to the U.S., you know? Right. And so
2007.
Yeah. So I was like, man.
Oh, just they announced it that year, huh?
Yeah. And so I was like, dude, I need to go to Brazil. I got to fight in Brazil. You know, I missed it last year. And oddly enough, I had never won in Brazil, like Worlds or Brasileiro. I did the Brasileiro two times as a brown belt, didn't even medal, had like the worst luck there. And then as far as the Worlds go, you know, I had a few bronzes, a silver, but no gold. And getting my black belt is just like, you know, I want to go and fight that competition in Brazil. I went by myself and was able to win that one. And that one was really, really special for me because, like I said, my whole, you know, since I was 16, I never won in Brazil a major like that. Yeah. I won a couple smaller tournaments, but not that.
In Brazil.
Yeah. And then after winning that one, I was like, man.
That gave you validation, right?
Yeah. Why not just do it all? This is it. I'm going to win the Worlds. I'm going to win the Worlds. Yeah. And each one just kind of gave me that much more confidence. And then was able to win the Worlds. And after that, it was just like, I didn't even think about it. It was like, oh man, this was a good year, you know, but I still lost. I lost in the absolutes, you know, so I lost some matches. And
Absolute of the Worlds?
The world, all of them.
Oh, wow.
I didn't take a gold medal. I lost to Romulo, Braulio. In Brazil, I lost to Alexandre de Souza. I didn't even know who he was. He didn't have that much of a name yet, and kind of just took him a little lightly at first. And then I was like, whoa, this guy's good. And he beat me on points. But each one of those kind of helped me stay focused, stay fired up. I didn't get too comfortable. I didn't feel like I was too okay, you know what I mean? Like I knew I had to be on my best, like because if you mess up that level, you know, you're gonna pay for it.
Game of inches, or
exactly.
Or a game of a finger.
Yeah, that's a new joke now. That's a new joke. But yeah, it worked out that way. And then me and Shanji were talking about it. It's like, man, I don't think anyone's done that before. And I didn't even really talk about it or anything. And then it wasn't until a couple of years later when the name Grand Slam started coming around, and I was like, well,
Lord Irving was saying that.
Yeah. And I was like, I think I'm the first one to.
He's so proud. He always says that. Grand Slam, Black Belt Grand Slam, American. Yeah.
Yeah.
It just.
But and now it's a thing. Like people really focus in on that, and they want to win all the stuff. But yeah, I was the first one.
Did Mikey Mitsubishi, has he done that?
No, I don't think he's done
Brazil, right? He's
yeah.
gone to, he hasn't done the Brazil.
I don't know if he's done the Euros either. I'm not sure.
I think he won the Euros, right? Didn't he? Because he did the open weight.
Oh yes, that's right. Yeah, all right, you're right. I remember that now. Yeah,
and he won against that big guy.
crazy.
He registered it. What was it? The
that giant
ultra heavyweight. Yeah.
I mean ultra heavyweight, 100% ultra heavyweight. Yeah, that's crazy. But I don't think he's fought in Brazil yet. I mean, if he put his mind to it and went out for the whole season, he could definitely do it for sure.
For sure. Man, what did you think about him this weekend?
Sharp, really sharp, dangerous. He was basically untouchable. No one gave him any problems.
Man, right? Four time, like
4 in a row.
4 in a row.
Crazy.
With COVID and everything in between.
Yeah, and he did a lot of no-gi this year too.
I saw his post, that he posted.
And he's competed in a few different weight classes. I mean, that division that he did is like 124 or 5.
Yeah, Brewster weight.
Right, and I think he's competed all the way as high as 55 this year in one of the WNO events. But then he's kind of gone 35, 45, 55, back down 35. I mean, he's been all over the place. Yeah, I think it's time for him to maybe just stay a little heavier. He looks so thin. Like, what's that movie with Christian Bale? Yeah, I mean, you do what you got to do and all that. But I think long term, health wise, might be better just to let him fill out a little bit. He's still so young.
I think he's trying to prove his point, right? But beating Bruno. 10-time world champion, coming out and beating the best, right?
Yeah.
But now
he already did it once,
and now he wanted
this time was
solidify that.
Yeah, incredible.
Yeah. What was your thoughts on the whole tournament this weekend?
A lot of the new generation, missing last year. A lot of guys had really started making their name, and competing on the circuit, doing really well, but they didn't have the worlds. And so it was cool to see that new blood, that new generation that have been working so hard, competing a lot, get their opportunity for the big one. And of course, the worlds bring out all the veterans, and so we got to see some matches that we hadn't seen yet, and it was pretty exciting. Just the level of these kids these days is insane. And back in our time, it was a little more rare to see these guys, first year black belts, right off the bat winning so much, winning the worlds in their first year. It was a lot more rare. It happened every now and then, but usually you had to take a few losses, kind of
first couple of years of warm up.
Figure out the timing, the strategy. Everyone is so sharp, and they kind of level you up, and then you start to win. Not that you wouldn't medal or maybe win some of the smaller events, but the worlds, it was really hard to win the worlds your first try as a black belt. But now, it's not like that at all. They're winning right in their first year, beating the multiple time world champs, and they're still so young. I think a lot of that has to do with how you can compete on a professional level against black belts,
against the best, right?
Against the best early. Even as a blue belt, Super purple belt, especially in no-gi, obviously it's a lot easier, but they're getting these opportunities to compete against the best early on. The training, the evolution is happening so fast, and so they're going right out there, and I mean, they're just beating legends right off the bat, and it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. I mean, they have that experience. Like I'm on the same level. These guys, they know, right? Which it took like all year for you to go against them in the worlds right before.
Yeah, for sure, and especially
the game
for me too. And I mean, I know you lived in Brazil for a period of time, but a lot of times back when I was a kid, like the only time you saw those guys is if you went to Brazil,
right? And
so they really kind of built up a lot more of a mystique. In my mind, to me, when I was a kid, watching them on VHS tapes or once a year when I would go to Brazil, they just really, you kind of built them up in your head. They're just almost godlike. And next thing you know, a few years have passed, you're wearing a black belt and you're looking at them across the mat you know, from you. And it's just a lot more to overcome mentally, to break through and say, I'm on that level and I can beat you, versus nowadays they're seeing them all the time.
And everybody's here now, right?
Yeah.
In the US, compared to like everybody was down in Brazil in the jungle, you know, right? And so like, yeah, like the Mecca was like, you know, was Rio de Janeiro, and now the Mecca's kind of like SoCal. We'll see what happens with COVID and all the restrictions and everything, but right.
There's a few Meccas out here,
Right.
SoCal,
Now
Florida,
Texas is coming up,
Texas. Yeah. There's a lot of jiu-jitsu,
But just
in a
all
lot
the
of
big,
places.
all the big tournaments were always here.
Yeah,
right? The
yeah, for
Pans,
sure.
The World,
For sure.
you know. So, and then everybody was moving here too.
Yeah, the access is incredible. You know, I try to tell people, like, you guys don't know how spoiled you are. You can get world-class instruction, train with the world's best right there. I remember just having to travel so far and spend so much money to learn just a little bit. And you just cherished it. It was so worth it every time. And I think a lot of that,
Coming to Cali, right? All those years.
yeah,
Your
Cali,
dad sending you to
driving
Cali.
to Texas,
Driving to Texas.
from Oklahoma. We would drive 3.5 hours to Dallas, you know, train in the morning class, do a private lesson, all that, drive right back, teach and train at night. Especially when I got old enough and I had my own car, I would do that several times a month. You know, and a lot of that I think made me a better student. It makes you a better student because you really study and you cherish the information that you're getting.
You value.
I would take notes, I would go back, show my dad everything that I learned. We're going to drill this. We're going to work on this for the next weeks, the next months, teach it in the classes that I was doing to help me reinforce. And it made me a better student, and it really helped me, just learn a lot of jiu-jitsu as well. Like I wanted
Complete game.
I wanted to learn from everybody, and just
Different styles.
take as much home as I could. The only problem was I didn't really develop my own system, my own style, because I didn't have a mentor. I was learning from, go to California, go to Brazil, go to Texas, pick up things from everybody. I would be watching videos, and I would experiment with everything and want to understand and learn it enough to know how to deal with it if someone was doing it to me. But then I didn't really have one system to follow until later on, whenever I started training with Saulo and Ribeiro, and I had that mentorship.
Yeah.
Then I really started to develop my system and put it all together, which was a must for competition, because if you go out there and you can't fully understand what it is that you do, you can't make those decisions quick enough, and you're trying to decide, do I want to do this or do that? You're behind, and there's just no time for that at that level.
Yeah. There was like a quote from Saulo, like, something like, if you think or whatever, you just got to do
late.
it. You're late. Yeah.
If you're late, you're tired. If you're
That's
tired, you die.
That's it.
Yeah.
You're tired, you die.
100%. Especially with
face,
him.
no motion, black and white.
Yeah, especially with him. And that's the pressure game. It wears you out, makes you tired. And he's just the type that if you let him in one good spot, you're never coming back. And that's your downfall right there. And he'll make you pay in the worst way possible. Smother. It's a little painful being underneath him.
You guys met at the Arnold, right? After one of the tournaments, and you guys, I told you, right? He was one of my favorite. He was my favorite. He was my favorite. He's like, for me, he's like the GOAT.
Yeah.
Just because
Me too.
I learned like strategy and tactics.
The mental warfare, the attitude, the mindset. That is really what kind of made him so special back in those days. And he knew how to play. He would, one match, he's taking you down, smashing you.
Man.
And then out of nowhere, next round, you expect the same thing. He pulls guard.
Yeah.
He knew how to play everybody just right.
Like Gorgine, I was just with him yesterday, right? But his close guard, right? You don't go in his close guard back, and so what did he do? He did not let him close his guard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nino was at the top of his game. He was like the Mike Tyson of jiu-jitsu. Like,
Saulo pull guard. Incredible.
One by one, he took them all apart.
Yeah, and all those different weight classes.
All the weights.
From lightweight up. And
then his brother finished the absolute job. But I was cheering for him, for the absolute.
That's what I was a kid watching. Was Saulo like that. And then sure enough, back to what I was saying, 99 was the first year I went to Brazil. That's when Saulo was Saulo. Yeah. Yeah.
So
And then 2003, I'm a 19-year-old brown belt, and we fight in the finals of the Arnolds.
you guys,
We fought. I fought Saulo. That's how I met him. And you know, I was so intimidated and nervous. I was like, just gonna go out there and give the best that I can. I mean, it was kind of a perfect scenario because I'm not expected to win, so it's a win-win. You know,
were you a brown belt?
I was a brown belt. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 19-year-old brown belt. Nothing to lose.
2003. Okay.
Yeah, that's when like
I went against Shaolin. I went against Shaolin in 2000. I think 2000.
The Arnolds.
2001 Arnolds. Yeah,
the Arnolds was like the biggest tournament outside of ADCC.
Like, told one of the guys, "Hey, yeah, I'll give him his black belt if we'd have won." We went. It was 0-0. You know.
Yeah.
So,
the Arnolds brought out all the best guys.
Yeah. Because there weren't that many events, right? With that, you made money.
Yeah, it was like $5,000. It was a good payday. Yeah. Really good for that time. And outside of ADCC, that was the biggest event there was. And I was always watching it. You know, Shanji was fighting in it. Like Kakareko used to go there. All the ADCC guys were there. Shaolin and they had 3 weight classes, just the light, middle, and the heavy. And I sent my my application or whatever, and I'll never forget the email they sent back. They're like, congratulations, you've been accepted into the 195-pound division. Saulo Ribeiro is in your division. Good luck. Is what it said.
They put his name in there?
Yeah.
Because they were friends with, they were the organizers. Well, he was living there, right, at the time?
Yes.
Something like that.
He had
an affiliate.
A network in Ohio. That was his first roots that he started building in the U.S. was in the Midwest in Ohio, which is where I was born, oddly enough. And when we started training together, I was flying from Oklahoma to Ohio to train with him in Toledo, Ohio, which is not a nice place. And it's cold.
Imagine
very cold.
Saulo and did Sean just spend time there too?
Sean was there too.
Those guys staying in Toledo, Ohio.
I have some stories. I have some good stories.
Please share.
Can't share all of them, but I can give you a couple. Yeah. And so right out, like when I got that email, I was like, man, how cool would it be to have a match with Saulo? You know, and sure enough, we're on opposite sides of the bracket. Of course, he just dominates his side, kills everybody. And I make it through my side. I had like 4 matches, and I ended up going against one of his black belts in the semifinals. And I was down on points the whole match, but I just kept going and going and going and going. And at the very end, I submitted him. And that was my first black belt that I defeated.
Wow.
And they were pretty sure they were going to close it out and share the money and everything. The black belt was really good. He was destroying his people, and no one knew who I was. It was just a kid from Oklahoma. And I submitted him, and he got really, really upset and like kicked down the fence, didn't stand there for the hand raise, and it caused a scene. And I went over to Saulo, and I was just like, hey, you know, I don't know why he acted like that, but much respect and good luck in the final.
Like you were always like that.
Yeah, I shook his hand. I said, I'll see you in the finals. And it'll be an honor. And I was calling him Mr. Ribeiro at that time. And and then we have a match, and he did the typical Saulo where he just walks right at you, just like, he knows he's intimidating you. I'm like, pull guard, and pull guard, and I did all right. I kept him in there for a while. I was proud of myself. It took him a while to pass, and then towards the end of the match, he got in my half guard, smashed me, mounted me, and arm triangled me. At the very end, I tried to hold out, but whatever.
It was nogi, yeah.
It was nogi,
yeah.
And afterwards,
which there weren't that many of in those days.
Right. That was, I had only done no-gi for 1 year. Actually, 2002, it was my very first no-gi competition. So it just been 1 year. But ADCC, of course, you dream about that. So I was like, now it's time. I need to start doing more no-gi. And he was so nice to me. And then I saw him later in Brazil that year, and I went up to him at the Copa do Mundo, and I just said, hey, Mr. Ribeiro. He's like, no, call me Saulo. Yeah, what's up, brother? Good to see you. And gave me a hug and was like, you want to train? I said, yes. it'd be amazing. That'd be awesome. Yes, yes. He's like, where are you staying? And I tell him where I'm staying. I'll pick you up on Monday. Be ready. And
be ready.
Yeah. Gave me his card. Sure enough, he picks me up. There's like 3 other people in this tiny car when he comes and picks me up. So we're all like squished in. Shanji's in there. And he drives us to his academy in Copacabana. Oh God, what was it called? Man, the name will come back to me. But it was
a condo in Copacabana.
His academy.
His academy
in Copacabana.
He had academy in Copacabana.
Yeah,
I thought it was Tijuca, Gracie Tijuca. No,
Copacabana first. He had his own little spot there. I forgot the name of it. Man, you would go upstairs. There's like a little mezzanine where there was mats. Small space, and it was just jam packed. Not everyone could train at once. There were people on the wall. And you know, back in those days, it was rare to be a gringo and have complete access, right? So a lot of the times you didn't really get taught. It was just go there and train. No one
they
really
don't show you the details.
They don't show you the juicy stuff, you know. And
that's why I went to Belo Horizonte to train dry cleaner, because I felt like they were my my team.
You got brought in. They welcomed you. I didn't have that yet. And you know, I fought Saulo. I was on different teams. I fought him. I'm the same weight as him, Shanji. And he brings me in, and he's like breaking down all the mistakes everyone made at the Copa del Mundo, because there's like 1 or 2 weeks, and then the real world's.
He was breaking it down on video? Or
no,
while you were watching it with him?
Yeah, I'm sitting there with a couple other of my.
Should have tape recorded that.
Well, we were really
before iPhones,
thinking,
right?
yeah, there was nothing of that going on. But me and I had a couple of American friends with me. You remember Clay Pittman?
Of course, yeah. Of course.
And he was really good back in those days and very intelligent. And we loved to study. We loved to take notes and break down technique. And we're both sitting there, and Saulo was just going through all the mistakes that everyone made at the World Cup, and just teaching and giving a motivation speech and just like rallying everyone together and just showing so much good stuff. And I'm like elbowing him like, dude, can you believe that we're getting to watch this? And he's just, you know, showing all the goods. And we're just like trying to don't forget that, remember that, you know, and
after trying to write everything down.
Yeah, as soon as we got out there, we were writing it down, going over it. But I was like, I can't believe he's doing that in front of us. And he invited us to train with him the whole week.
Wow.
And I was going there every day. And that's when I fell in love. And I back then, you had to go to the mall to get the computer with internet, you know. So I remember going to the mall.
Internet cafes.
Yeah, the internet cafes.
That was the beginning of that.
I remember going to the mall.
Everybody's so spoiled now.
Yeah. And sending my dad an email saying, Dad, you'll never believe the training that I've had. Saulo invited me. I was there. I trained with Saulo. It was so funny. It was training, and he did the shake hands, rip the gi out of it. Remember how he used to do that? Rip the gi out of his belt. He did that to me in the training, and just, you know, did
messing with you.
Well, he's supposed to beat me up, you know. But I fell in love with it, and I stayed in touch with Saulo. I said, Dad, we got to bring him for a seminar. We brought him for a seminar, and that was it. And then he gave me the invitation to.
What did your dad say when you sent him that you trained with Saulo?
He was just like, oh, wow, I can't believe that's amazing. He got so pumped, so hyped. And so I stayed in touch with Saulo, and we just worked like, the next time you're able to come to the US, please stop by, see us. We're going to do a seminar. And not only did he just come in to do a seminar, he stayed like 5 days.
Yeah.
He stayed in my dad's house. We trained every day. We played chess. We talked, and he was helping me, teaching me, and I'm still a part of another team.
Yeah.
And I fought him. I'm a gringo from another team that is a potential opponent, and he was just going out of his way to mentor me, help me. And he gave me the invitation. He said, "Hey, you want to train with us? You have a place. Go to Brazil, train with my brother, and do the whole thing. Season. You'll be a part of our team. You'll be taken care of." And after that invitation,
he felt what you wanted.
Yeah, He knew what
he
I'm
help you,
a young brown belt kid that has the dream. And at that point, I'm in college, and I tell my dad.
You went to college too?
I was in college.
Man.
Yeah, I was in college. I didn't finish because I told my dad.
Was that?
I told my dad.
Was it your dad's or your mom's?
No, it was me.
You.
I sat down. They wanted me to go to college. My dad didn't want me to live this life.
Okay.
He, there was no money in it back then. We had a struggling business. Those days, martial arts was.
Your dad is a lifelong martial artist.
Lifelong martial artist. He had the school since I was 9.
9 years
so
old.
this was like 10 years in. Struggling. It was tough back then. There was a period where the school was not making money. We actually even lived in the school. Hard times.
Yeah, and, before the Ultimate Fighter, before people knew what jiu-jitsu was.
No one knew. And
I'm all Easton, there's huge gyms down in Colorado.
Yeah.
He lived in the gym. He created a bunk bed in the back.
People don't see the struggle.
Right.
They don't see the struggle. And especially now on social media, all you see is the wins, wins, and you miss the struggle. But the struggle is the most important part. And everyone thinks that it's always, sunshine and rainbows, butterflies and rainbows, but the blood, sweat, and tears, the doubts, the fears, that's part of the process. And that's where we were then. And my dad, he really wanted me to be a professional, go to school, get a degree, still do jiu-jitsu, still whatever, but that wasn't going to be my business, my life, as far as how I made a living. And at this point, getting the invitation from Saulo, I said down my parents, I'm like about to be a junior in college.
So you're like 21?
I'm 19.
19,
20. And I tell my dad, I tell both of them, but I'm really talking to my dad because I know he's going to get it. He was the one who's going to say yes or no.
Decision, yeah.
And I said, there's no way I can't go all in. I have to do this. I don't want to look back and say, what if? I just felt like I was right there. I'm a brown belt, doing good. I got a world medal, bronze medal.
Because you won the worlds at juvenile and blue belts, right?
Silver.
Oh, okay.
I hadn't had a world gold until black belt.
Oh, okay. I remember your dad you guys used to take your fighters to New Mexico.
Yeah.
And he would always brag about you, Yeah. To everybody. I thought he would, got up, which was like crazy back in those days to get a medal at the Worlds,
Yeah, we had
like the same,
a good little MMA team back then. I was still just a kid and I was scrapping with those guys.
But the Worlds was like,
so hard.
Yeah,
it was so
crazy.
At the end of the Worlds back in those days, you could count on one hand the amount of gringo medalists across all belts, blue to black, and you knew them all. Oh, so-and-so got bronze in blue belt, purple. You, like Garth Taylor, BJ, you could count on one hand the amount of non-Brazilians that were winning medals, not gold, just medals, and not just in black, but all belts combined.
Yeah.
And so, but anyways, I told my dad, look, I got to do this. And he got it. He understood because he did the same thing. He took the risk. He went all in. He followed his passion. He followed his gut, his heart. And so he was like, okay, I understand. You can do this. But he made me promise that I would go back to school.
To college?
And finish my degree. And I did promise, but I haven't gone back yet.
I promised my mom the same thing.
Things worked out pretty well, though, nowadays. And I think he's not going to hold me to that promise anymore. But yeah, and I dropped out. And I took everything I had and I went to Brazil. I took everything I had plus a lot of credit card, which was normal back in that time. You had to, because I had traveled so much, and I just
got credit cards in the mail.
Yep, and I would do my best to if I got a new offer, transfer a balance. No issue, I would transfer. I just try to move it around and do the best that I could, but I racked up a pretty substantial debt.
How much did you rack up?
Over 20,000.
Over 20,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, going to Brazil, and then after that, I was going to Ohio, California, going to all the tournaments. Then I started getting some sponsors and doing private lessons, seminars, and things. Things worked out good now today, but there was that stressful, okay, here we go. But I knew that I had to do it. And I went to Brazil. I lived in the On the Mat house. Shout out to Scott Nelson.
Nelson, man. And
he was sponsoring me. He helped me out a lot back in that time. And I lived in the On the Mat house, and I was taking the bus from Baja to Tijuca every day. And I would go in the morning and do the competition training in the morning. And then
which is the opposite side of, the South Zone of Rio.
Yeah.
Opposite side of the city.
It was like an hour long
bus ride
to go up the mountain. And in the morning, the bus would be packed. And so I'd always end up standing, holding the rail. And you go up and you go up this mountain, and there's no rails along the side of the mountain. So I'm standing in the bus, and you could look out the window and just see all the way down the mountain and the traffic. You know how the traffic, it was
And
insane.
how did the bus drivers drive?
Oh my goodness.
In Rio de Janeiro.
And I tell myself every day, the more that I do this, the more likely something bad's going to happen. Is today the day? And I would consider it grip training. I would hold that rail so tight. I was like, oh, and I had to change hands. So yeah, fun times. But I would go
like you said, it's the struggles that make you, right?
The story. Yeah, you're writing your book. It's part of the book. But do the competition training in the morning with all the guys. We had a really great team then. A lot of tough purple and brown belts as well. And then Shanji. This was the year that Shanji became he won his first world title. This is 2004. And I would do the competition training, go downstairs and go get a coxinha and a salgado, and a juice. I would spend 6 or 7 reais, $2 for a lunch. That's all, that's all I needed. Whatever, you're 20 years old, and I would just eat so cheap. I would go back up to the academy, sleep on the mats, and then Daryl Golar. You remember Daryl Golar?
Yeah.
He was the wrestler teaching all the Brazilian top team guys. Gracie Tijuca had a little bit of an MMA team with Fabricio Morango, Jorge Brito, and Leticia was super into learning wrestling as well. Shout out to Leticia Ribeiro. And Daryl Golar was teaching a wrestling class in the afternoons at Gracie Tijuca. So I would sleep on the mats after lunch, wake up, do the wrestling class in the afternoon, and then put my gi back on and do the jiu-jitsu class in the evening. And then I would take the bus back down to Baja at night. Fortunately, I could sit down because at night it wasn't crowded. And then I would get an acai at either Jusco or BB Sucos. And I would get an acai or just like a filet de franc, like a grilled chicken and rice and beans, maybe somewhere between 10 to 15 reais, like a $5 dinner. And I did that every day for 4 months. That was the journey. And I got to travel to all the competitions with Saulo and Shanji that year. We went to Bahia for the World Cup. We went to
the World Cup is, they for people that don't know, they started like another federation because they fought with Carlos Gracie, whatever.
Novo Nhau guys.
Novo Nhau, yeah. And so they tried, right, to, they still have them, don't they? But they're not even close. But
there's something down there. I think there's a CBJJE. There's something
like that. Yeah. But back then they paid money because everybody's like, man, we're paying all this money. There's nothing getting given back to the athletes. We're all struggling, right? We're eating $2 meals,
And that's how some new teams got formed, because some of the guys from Alliance wanted to fight for the money.
That's right.
And Fabio Gurgel, I think, didn't really want them to fight there. So at first, I think it was the Master team. You remember Master?
Right.
I think it was Master first.
Much to Jacare.
Yeah, and then I think it split off to Braza and TT afterwards.
That's right.
That's when TT started. But yeah, some of those guys wanted to fight for the money. And
then Checkmat eventually.
Yeah, and then Checkmat came out of there, and And the real, badass guys were fighting in both and trying to win both. And at first they were on the same day, so you had to choose. And then they became a week apart.
Right.
And then I think they actually spread out to 2 weeks apart later on. And it was fun. 1 year, Jacare, when he was a brown belt,
I think it was 2002 was the first time they did that.
Yeah.
It was like the same day, right? Something like that.
Yes, that's true. And then by 2004, I think they were 2 weeks apart, and that was 2003 maybe. They were a week apart, but a week apart in 2003. Jacare was a brown belt, and he went out there and he won something like 20 matches in 1 week, maybe even a little more. And he submitted everybody except one, the absolute final with Lagarto at the Mundials. And I remember that very clearly because I was there. I was a brown belt, and he was lighter than me, but we were almost in the absolute together. But I lost. Of course, he won. But that was incredible. But then guys were trying to win both back in that time, and it was crazy matches.
Man, I had Saulo and we talked, and I never knew. Of course, I knew when he was winning, right? And I was following everything he was saying in the interviews and stuff like that. Never got to train with him. Never got to sit with him like you did, But he didn't win until he was a black belt. Mm-hmm. Did you know that?
Yeah. Well, the first Worlds, he was already a black belt. 96.
He didn't win any tournaments really. Like he came out of nowhere, right?
Yeah, he did kind of come out of nowhere, and he moved very fast from purple to black. He went through the ranks pretty quickly. He was doing judo first as a kid,
right,
and so he
was from Manaus.
Right? Yeah, he moved pretty quick, and he had that Manaus just go hardcore style and conditioning. But yeah, and then 96 he closed out lightweight with a few guys.
Okay,
that's why sometimes they say 6-time, but then officially it's 5 because he wasn't on the top of the podium when he closed out.
Who was the?
I don't remember.
Yeah, because I didn't see his name. Because I know he beat Marcio Feitosa.
Yes,
he beat the guy that needed to beat. Mm-hmm. But then he didn't see his name. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Cool. Mm-hmm.
But then the next year, 97, he won middle. He beat Nino.
That's when I started watching him.
Yeah,
I was there in 97.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and my first time was 99.
And then 97, 98, he beat, I think, Gorginho.
Mm-hmm. That's when he went to medium heavy. He was just
and
boom,
then just boom, took everybody. In the 99, he beat
to super heavy.
He beat 99. He beat Faber Gugel and Murilo Bustamante.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
He beat all the best, the who's who, and I was like, what? And I became obsessed, with his matches and just the stuff he was saying.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%.
He was unbeatable, right? He was untouchable,
Yeah, he was just missing the absolute, Pejapano, and Margarita. Margarita came up and was just killing everybody. And then I fought Margarita my first year as a black belt. He beat me up good. 2005. Mm-hmm. He made a run. He came back and made a run because he got hurt in a motorcycle accident, and he was a bit of a all over the place, a little bit of drama. But then he came back.
Man.
Yeah, wild man for sure. Yeah, those, man, you're I like talking to the OGs, man, because all these memories start coming back.
Remember he won on few when he won the world, and the scooter, the motor scooter, around the mat,
yeah.
with the girls, the ring girls or whatever, the presenters,
Yeah, good times. The Tijuca Tennis Club. I posted a picture in there the other day when the Worlds was starting with me and Mario Sperry.
He beat Mario Sperry. Was it 99? That solo. I think Fabio Gugel was in there. Was it?
I want to say he beat Fabio in 2000.
Was it 2000?
I think. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I think it was 99.
Okay.
I think so.
Yeah. But yeah, I was. It was the 2000 Worlds, and I took silver in the juvenile absolute. Which was a really cool experience because the juvenile absolute took place on Saturday when the black belt absolute. So it started in the morning, but because I kept winning and I made it to the finals, it took over 2 hours. And by the time I was in the absolute final, the black belt absolute was going. And so I'm in the warm up area with Comprito, Nino, Saulo, everybody around me. And I was like just getting so pumped up, and I was so happy. But I got that.
You wish
that silver.
You had had an iPhone to do a selfie with these guys.
I needed that back then.
That memory.
I needed that. Yeah, for sure. I have no pictures, man.
Right,
I hardly have any pictures. Oh, that kills me. I was trying to pull out some of my old photo albums and like, man, I wish, you know. But yeah,
we get to talk about it.
I had a few, got a few. And one of which was with Mario Sperry with my silver. And that was back, you know, he was fighting in Pride, and me and my father used to watch his VHS tapes, and I thought it was so cool. And anyways, I put that on.
Yeah. How about those bathrooms in the Tijuca?
Oh my God. Oh my God. I used to, believe it or not, my mom, of course, I'm so young. Yeah. I was so young. My mom, and back then your bag could weigh whatever. Right. They didn't have the airlines. They didn't have restrictions on your bag, the size and how much it weighed and all that. And my mom would help me pack my suitcase, and man, she put toilet paper in there for me. I told her, man, the toilet paper down there is terrible. So I had toilet paper and like hand sanitizer. And I mean, I just had a ridiculous amount of stuff to take with me on this international trip. Keep in mind, my parents weren't going with me.
Right. Because your dad didn't fly, right?
He didn't like to fly, and it was also a big financial thing as well. You know, really only had the money for one person to go. I'm so grateful for my parents for investing in me and basically taking money that they didn't even really had and helping me go down there. That's I'll get emotional if I talk about that more, but so, you know, I was by myself, and my mom was just trying to be mom. And, but thank goodness, because I would take that toilet paper and that hand sanitizer, and I would, you know, the nerves kick in, and sometimes you got to do what you got to do. And I was like, oh God, here we go. And
do I hold it, or do I go into the bathroom? And people are going barefoot in the bathroom, and they're going back out of the bath, right?
So gross.
And your feet become black, right?
So gross, man. It was bad. And the birds flying around, and
the pigeons,
the droppings all over. Oh man, it was, but I miss it. I miss that place.
It was raw. It was real.
It was so raw.
The energy in the place.
So raw. Everyone's shirts off, hot, sweaty, the drums banging, just the energy was insane. And there was no media, no money, no nothing. It was just you, your team, the love of it. Pride. It was glory and pride. That's what you were fighting for. It wasn't to make a post and get likes and followers and, you know, all that kind of stuff. It was just to be the man and represent for your team, your family. And man, the energy was crazy. I said it this weekend, like the Black Belt Absolute was going Saturday morning, and it was like crickets. I'm like,
it was the venue too, huh?
Yeah. The venue definitely
affected COVID, you know.
100%.
A lot of people didn't qualify, right, to even go to the compete, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think the main guys,
the best guys were, I think,
the best guys were there. But yeah, for sure, there's a lot of factors. But of course, I think
you're right. I was thinking the same thing on Sunday. You know, there were more people there, but still, it was like, I was like, man, the energy is like.
Yeah, I mean, the Checkmat team, they're fun. They're fun. They always started doing some chants and stuff. But yeah, I miss those days. And there was just something about it when you walked out of there. It was like electric. The energy. I just could not train I couldn't wait to train again and go back the next day, and just it was so inspiring. So inspiring.
Who are the guys you watched? You know, because you fought in the juvenile division. You started there, like, and a lot of the guys, like the greats, right? They grew up doing jiu-jitsu, and so they were in those divisions, right? But you were a little bit, you were heavier, right? You were in the heavyweight division, maybe.
I was in the ultra
heavy,
because the juvenile, if you're like,
a lot of the guys were a little bit smaller and stuff that grew up, right?
If you're over 180 something, you're ultra in juvenile. And I was a big kid. I was 180 something by the time I was 15.
Yeah, I remember you were always big.
So, and that's a big reason why when I went to adult, I was already doing super and ultra and whatnot, because I was a big kid and I was used to fighting big people. I fought Big Mac in that world.
Yeah.
And Big Mac was basically already that size.
Big Mac was ultra heavy.
Yeah.
And Big Mac, you can put it together.
He beat me when in 2000, I took bronze in the weight and silver in the absolute, and he beat me in the semifinals of the weight class. He had really good judo, and I want to say he threw me or tripped me or something, and I lost 2-0. And then 7 years later, we fought in the finals of black belt. So that was crazy. That was like destiny. But yeah, I fought him. I fought Vinny Magalhães. I fought, believe it or not, I fought Tanquinho in the absolute.
Oh, wow.
I fought
in the juvenile,
yeah,
right?
in juvenile. I fought Ricardo Dimenche in the juvenile semifinal absolute. We had a crazy match. It was like 9-4, 9-6, something like that. I have that on video as well. But yeah.
You have that on video?
Yeah.
From
2000 Worlds against Dimenche and Vinny and all those guys.
2000, yeah, with big VHS recorders, right? Still, yeah. Or actually, no, maybe you had the smaller ones with the little discs in them.
No,
right. This beginning of the little mini discs,
the small tapes.
Yeah. 90s, it was VHS tape. I remember carrying my mom's.
That was kind of cool though, because then you could just take it right out and put it in the VCR.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Did you ever meet Paqueta?
Paqueta? Yeah.
What is it?
Paqueta?
Paqueta.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Paqueta, yeah.
Yeah, I went to his house one day hanging out with
We're talking
Scotty.
about like trying to get footage, right? And we're like trying to, you find the guy to buy footage so you can take it back.
He was the one that had everything.
Take it back to US and study.
Mm-hmm. And that's where Scott, on the mat, they had a good relationship with Paqueta. Everyone, well, I can't say everyone like Scotty, but a lot of people. Scott was just he is a great dude, great energy, and he was pure. They were there for the pure love of it, helping,
of course, yeah.
And just wanting to be the first ones to document it and show people in the U.S. all over the world what is going on in Brazil. They had the documentaries, the dengue fever. Remember those videos?
Yeah, of course.
Cool videos, and they were showing some of the badass guys training and doing like flow grappling stuff way back 20 years ago. And so I'm with Scotty and he's like, let's go to Paqueta's house. I need to go over there and get some stuff from him and share footage. And I saw Paqueta's closet. And like his, with just tapes. And I was like, yeah. And I told him how I was training with Saulo, and he showed me a match of Saulo. I want to say Saulo might've been a juvenile, like a 16-year-old blue belt, 17-year-old blue belt, something like that. And then I want to say he showed me another match of Saulo fighting like a Rona as a purple belt. And he just like, oh yeah, Saulo, let me show you what I have. And he showed me some old school, like that was old school. Man, the old school.
Did that footage get lost?
I'm not 100% sure what happened. I know Scotty was working
to get it because
Paqueta passed,
right?
And I think Scotty got some of it, but then I think there was a kind of maybe a little dispute of who wanted ownership of that stuff, and maybe someone came in and got their hands on it. Man, but whoever has that has a gold mine.
I mean,
needs to put that out.
I mean, where is it? Right?
Yeah.
Where is it? Why isn't it out? Yeah. We want to see all. Yeah, he had everything. All the Oscar de Jiu-Jitsu match. He had all the stuff. Yeah.
And he was
Brasileiros World.
He was a Carlson guy, so he had a good relationship with the BTT crew back when they were going to MMA, fighting in Pride, and he was filming a lot of that stuff too.
The training and stuff. Yeah. I just hope it didn't. Well, it should have been out by now, right? If somebody,
it's there. Someone's got it.
Yeah, but those VHS tapes go bad after a while.
It can. That's why Scotty. Actually, that day. Now you just remind me. Scotty was going there that day to give him a machine to help digitize it. It was like a giant machine. You just reminded me. That's what it was. To help him get it on disc and get it in digital form. Yes, I remember that now. And you would burn this
right into DVD,
yeah. Make it into files. Yeah, Scotty was just in that transition phase. You know, in the beginning when I was buying on the mat tapes, it was tapes.
Yeah.
And then it transitioned into DVDs.
Yeah. I gave some of the footage I had. I don't have that much footage, but some of the footage I had, I gave it to a guy in New Mexico to make like a highlight video or to make some stuff, you know. And man, he disappeared.
Oh man, you know, I think.
And so I think about that when I think about what happened to that footage. Did somebody just, you know?
Yeah, I think the first time I saw you was on one of Scotty's tapes. I think I remember watching you fight in the Brazilian teams.
Yeah.
For Draculino,
right?
And winning. Yeah,
black belt. Yeah. We're the first team outside of Rio. To win the Brasileiro.
I remember watching you there, and I think was that like 2000?
2002.
It was 2002 already.
Yeah, black belt. Yeah.
Okay.
It was just us, our team, you know, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like Sururu, who was here, you saw he was part of the team.
Yeah,
that's cool. I saw that.
And well, it's like, man, the gringos who were competing as brown and black belt, you knew who they were.
Yeah,
and especially if they were winning, it was like, whoa.
Yeah.
But yeah, super cool.
Yeah, I remember I think because he shared that match with me, they found it, and you know, it's like the guy pulled guard on me because I was pulling guard on everybody, and the guy pulled guard on me, and I just stuck him, and I held him, and I, you know, passed. They had the head on the body neck kind of position, you know. Yeah.
That's awesome. I remember your omoplata game. You had a really good omoplata.
Yeah, cross guard omoplata. Yeah. Half guard too. Half guard. Yeah.
I remember when half guard was the new guard.
I started
no
doing
one understood
it
half guard.
In '98. I asked one of the first guys to do like deep half. You know, and just started doing it, and it worked, and I got points, and nobody could stop it. That's how when I went against Shaolin in like 2000, whatever it was, 2001. He didn't know what I was doing. Yeah, he was better at gi anyway. You know, right?
Oh, he was really good no gi too. He was an ACC champ, right?
I don't think he got. Did he win?
Maybe not, but he was up there.
That doesn't mean, he's one of the best
he had
ever.
Those crazy battles with Leozinho.
Yeah.
Remember that tournament? That tournament that I think Faber Gurgel, it was in the US. I want to say it was like in Carolina, like
right. South Carolina is like
pro-am or
the pro-am.
Yeah, circuit, and him and Leozinho had that insane match that went like 30 minutes and no one could score. They were scrambling like crazy.
Scotty on the mat had the footage of that tournament.
There was that match with Leozinho and Matt Serra, and Leozinho hit a standing Ippon Seonagi, no gi, and Matt Serra like cartwheeled. He flipped out of it. He was Matt Serra, I think, was like a gymnast, something like that. First, he did gymnastics, and was super agile. Leozinho hit that throw amazing, and he like cartwheeled out of it. Man,
his brother Rico. One of my favorite matches of all time is that match with him and what's his name, Roosterweight, many-time Roosterweight champion, Hobson Mora.
Yeah,
Rico Vieira and Hobson Mora, the finals of I forgot what year it was. You know,
yeah, probably the late '90s.
Late '90s or
I don't think it was 2000 yet.
But man. Did you watch it? Do you remember it?
Yeah, I remember it.
It was like nonstop.
The scrambles. I think they posted that. Not recently, but I remember watching some highlight on the IBJJF Instagram of that one not too long ago. I've been keeping my eye out on that kind of stuff, like
the old footage.
Yeah,
right?
You know, I have this
timeless jiu-jitsu
thing that I'm just trying to put some good energy out there, some motivation, inspiration, and there's a whole thing to it, the mindset of just being a forever student, and always learning, always looking to improve yourself, progress. Inside of that, if you're going to be the best that you can be, you need to be a teacher at some point. Once you get to a certain level, to hit the next level, start teaching. How do you communicate? How do you give back? How do you break down what it is that you do? It helps you understand better, makes you better. And then you make those around you better, what then makes you better. And then a competitor, you know, challenging yourself and doing all those things forever. The longevity game and just living your passion, doing what you love forever. That's what Timeless Jiu-Jitsu is to me. And inside of that is just also remembering these legends who really paved the way, and had that timeless style. Back then, everything that you did was the classics, and now it's the classics, and it still works.
Saulo says classic jiu-jitsu, right?
Yeah.
Like modern jiu-jitsu, old school classic.
Classic. I think all the greats in any sport, any art, any discipline, they would all say that the fundamentals perfected is what will give you success for a long amount of time. You look at like Michael Jordan, that fadeaway jumper, like it carried him through when you start to lose your athleticism a little bit. And
there's people think that I know a front choke, but there's levels, right? There's levels in
exactly. Once you master those things, they're unstoppable. If you do them just right. I mean, Hodger is a great example. Of course, my teacher, Saulo Ribeiro, and that's what I tried to model my game after. So there's the style and the technique behind it, but then it's also the mindset. It's just, the lifestyle. How do I take care of my body so I can keep doing this forever? Always challenging myself and always learning, looking to be open to learning from all sources, and going outside of your comfort zone. Maybe it's wrestling, maybe it's judo. For me, it was also mixed martial arts, challenging myself in the mixed martial arts arena, because that made me a better martial arts practitioner. Yes. And just being a martial artist, it's more of a true martial artist mindset than a jiu-jitsu fighter or jiu-jitsu practitioner. The best martial artists to me are the best students, and that's what for me timeless jiu-jitsu is all about. And so I've been working on putting that out there. I have a Facebook group. You have a
website?
Have a website, timelessjiujitsu.com. And the Facebook group that's like 12,000 members now. I started it last year, and we've grown pretty quickly. And I share a lot of free techniques and videos. I do lives. I do a technique every Tuesday, Technique Tuesday. So there will be a technique posted tomorrow. And the website has a blog, and it's also a membership website where people can come in and learn so much more. And I have my friends, from like jiu-jitsu and also like mobility. Cameron Shane is a good friend of mine from the Budokan Mobility. Stuff like that I think help people build a longevity program, along with the mindset of, okay, how do you train? How do you compete? How do you deal with being the best guy in the room, or being the one that wants to compete and maybe no one else wants to compete? How do you prepare? How do you really live all those different things? Because each one is a little different. All the things that I kind of had to figure out on my own, being in Oklahoma, far from everything, and just trying to put it all together and give it back and put it out there for people. So it's been good. It gives me a new purpose.
Yeah, you need the balance, right? Like of staying healthy, mobility. Like,
yes.
I was
so important.
Like
I saw you doing
the tack fit
downstairs,
and all the joint mobility and all the just how important mobility is, right?
Yeah,
because especially when you get older, when you're younger too, you just take it for granted, and then little by little, it gets taken away from you, and then you get injured. And
Yeah, the sooner you bring that practice into your lifestyle, the better. It's so important, and like for me, it's not about titles anymore. When you're in your 20s, you just want to win. You know what I mean? Like that was the number one focus. Now, of course, I'm still competing, still challenging myself, and obviously I want to win, and I believe in myself and know I can still do my thing. But I'm also just at the stage where I just want to do this forever, at the best level that I can.
Be your best at every age.
Yeah. I mean, I want to be able to go with one of the world's best when I'm 50 and do a good round with him, train for, maybe it can only be 5 or 6 minutes, maybe not a 10-minute round, but have a good round and go. And so I can keep learning and keep pushing myself. I want to be in good shape. I want to, I want to see myself aging well, and just staying on the mats and doing what I love, and that comes down to the lifestyle. And the sooner you can plug in on that and treat your body right in every way, I can't go full Pahada mode every day now. I have to pick my days better, pick my training partners better, recover better. There has to be some sort of recovery every day. I was moving down the stairs too, just getting the sweat, preparing myself.
I seen you with the steel mace some years back, right?
Yeah, I play with everything.
You know Isik?
I do not.
Who did you train with when you?
So my strength and conditioning coach, he does a lot of mace.
Okay.
Luke Tyree at home in Oklahoma,
I see.
Green Strength.
Okay.
But then when I go down to Austin, I've also played with Leo Savage.
Okay.
Who really took the steel mace flow to another level. He's one of the guys that On It. When I go, On It is a partner of mine, and support them. They support me. They help me a lot through my MMA camps as well. I would go down there and do my camps at the HQ in Austin. But On It's super cool because you get all these different minds and people that specialize in different things. And they have Leo down there for the mace. And I've got to work with him, and he makes it so beautiful. You got to follow him.
Yeah, I know. Because Isik he's the original steel mace, guy who brought the steel mace to On It. So he taught Savage.
Okay.
And actually, the guy John Wolf, he learned tack fit. So that's what they brought to.
Yeah.
Just in the.
Yeah. I've talked to John, worked out with him before as well. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you're doing the right stuff. Yeah. I'm part of what I was talking about before, being a student.
Yeah.
It's not just about jiu-jitsu.
Right.
It's like, I'm going to learn kettlebells. I'm going to learn the mace. I've also been playing with the rope.
Yeah.
The rope flow.
Yeah.
Doing that, yoga, mobility, all like martial arts is movement. It's movement. How do we move our body and create a better connection? Of course, with martial arts, we're moving in a way to, be violent, do damage, and
it is, right, but it's much more than that.
Yeah, it's art and science. I mean, of course, it goes so deep.
It's like one piece, right? But like when I talk to all these Hoist Gracie, like Saulo, man, it's like the relationships, the connection with others.
Oh no, 100%.
Right. I know.
Yeah, I'm just talking about the movement part.
Right. Yeah, but it's like it's interesting to ask them that, right? Because it's like that's the big takeaway,
Oh no, the relationships, the people that is the true gift of this journey. 100%.
Like you're talking about being connected, right? Connected within, right? And then you can connect with others because of, jiu-jitsu and then all these other things we need to
the bond, right? The bonds that you create. I mean, that's in being able to have that with people from all walks of life, all over the world. That is,
you've traveled the world, right?
Yeah.
Teaching jiu-jitsu.
That is by far the best part of this work. But the movement part, it's like, if I can be a better mover, if I can move in other ways, mobility, yoga, all that stuff, the toys, the mace, the kettlebell, the rope, you can move all that stuff. I gotta put a club
on your hand.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
But then also boxing, Muay Thai, wrestling, judo. I love all martial arts. And inside all of those, even non-martial arts, non-combat, the kettlebell, the mace, you're going to be told so much of the same things as far as your posture, the way that you
body mechanics, right?
Yeah, the mechanics, the breathing.
We had Henry Akins here, and guys do tack fit here, and so it's like the 7 key components, like the mechanics. It's it's tack fit basically.
That makes your martial arts better. Yeah. It makes your jiu-jitsu better. It really does. And so I've learned throughout the years, being an open-minded student with so many different things, I see that and I say, that was my first hero. That was my first hero. That was my dad's hero. And so of course it became my hero. That's what got him into martial arts. And that's what led us to where we are today, as well as Chuck Norris, which is another story. But
Carlos Machado's gym was inside of Chuck Norris's studio.
The very first time I trained with Carlos, I was in Chuck's studio.
That's crazy, huh?
If it wasn't for Chuck bringing Carlos to Texas, we would have still been going to California and only doing jiu-jitsu a couple times a year, versus
everything would have changed.
Everything changed when we were in Dallas and able to go
Shout out
once
to
a
Chuck
week.
Norris
And Bruce.
And Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris put me here today. And my dad, of course. But yeah, no, I mean, that Bruce Lee mindset, just being the open-minded, best student you can be. And then you learn how everything connects. And that's part of what I'm putting in the timeless jiu-jitsu as well. Just trying to help people understand, you know, that side of things, because that's what's going to build a longevity practice for you. You know, the way that you can be a better mover and take better care of your body and have that mind-body connection. Then you can go to jiu-jitsu. I mean, Cameron Shane, actually Saturday was his birthday. He just turned 50. I don't know if you've seen any videos of him.
I've seen him. Yeah, he's like amazing
Dude,
mover. Yeah.
And at 50 years old, if I can do 10% of what he can do when I'm 50, I think I'm still going to be scrapping pretty good with some of these guys.
Scott Son is the TACFIT creator. And he's like 51 or something. It's like ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know? And I want to be like him. They just, I'm like, you know, I want to be healthy. I want to be
Those
able to
are my
move.
inspirations.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. I just want to train. At the end of the day, I'm still that kid that just wants to train, you know, and do what I love. That's it. I just want to keep training.
It's awesome, man. It's awesome. I want to go back to the who are your favorite jiu-jitsu guys? And that's a big question, right? But who are some of your favorite jiu-jitsu guys over the years, you know, off the top of your head?
Well, of course, Saulo and Shanji, of course.
I'm right with you.
Yeah. But then I got to say, man, a lot of the guys from my generation, and of course the ones before, like Ted Ade. I mean, who's not going to say Ted Ade? But the ones that I came up with, like Hager, Homolo, Braulio, Marcelo, Jacare. Oh my God, Jacare.
Did you ever compete against
Damien? No, I never did. And I heard he might be making some comeback to some gi and no gi matches now that he's not fighting anymore. And
Master fight.
Man, it would be incredible. I would be so honored to step on the mats with him and do anything, whatever. I mean, I'd love to learn from him. But yeah, those guys, Damien, especially the ones that have like really crossed over into all the arts, Fabricio Verdum, you know, the ones that have done gi, no gi, and MMA, I definitely feel even more connection to, because I know that's the real martial arts way, you know, to challenge yourself in everything, get out of your comfort zone and put yourself to the ultimate test. So those guys for sure. But you know, Fabio Gurgel, Murilo Bustamante, you know, the OG heavyweights. Margarita had a big influence on me. I was studying him a lot. I love the cross collar, super aggressive finisher. And then he was
dynamic submission.
Yeah, he was the first one to just really put the smack down on me after I got my black belt. And he motivated me, you know, in that way. But man, I'm a fan of so many people. Cobrinha. Yeah. I say Marcelo, of course. You know, I can find stuff out of everybody. And
Leo Vieira, we mentioned Shaolin, we mentioned, you know, it just goes on and on and on, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And now the new school, like the younger kids, right, coming up.
Mm-hmm. There was a guy not too well known. He was a world champion, and Shanji used to fight him. And I used to train with him in Gracie Baja. Mm-hmm. I really loved his style, and he was a finisher, really just like simple but strong, basic, great triangle. Jefferson Maura. Yeah. A lot of people might not remember Jefferson, but he
taught at the Baja, the gym.
He was sick. He was sick, and he was a heavyweight.
Draculino, close guard. Yeah,
Draculino influenced me as well.
I used to.
I got to
do seminars.
Do his class. Bring him out. Yeah, and we brought him out too. He came to Oklahoma once as well. Yeah. I mean, I love it. And that's another thing I'm trying to do now with my school. Now that I have this new academy, we have a lot of space, and it's a beautiful space as well. I think similar to you, you know, you brought me here today. I'm trying to bring people from all teams all over. I just share your timeless jiu-jitsu. I want to learn, and I want my students to have access to that as well. And so this year was super awesome, because it's finally able, like last year I opened the new school, and then COVID hit 2 weeks later and we had to close.
Are you kidding me?
Tough.
2 weeks after?
Tough time. I had my grand opening.
Oh my
over
God.
200 people on the mat, over 200 people. And I was like, this is the dream. I'm so happy.
Yeah.
And that was also the month after all the MMA stuff went down, where I had to retire, sort of retire. And I was so heartbroken from that. And then I was like, well, I have my dream school though. Life's good. And I kind of rechanneled all my gratitude, and like, life's good. You have your health, you have your school, you have your academy, you have jiu-jitsu. grand opening, over 200 people on the mat. Like, this is going to be amazing. Business is going to go so well, because I invested so much into that place. And 2 weeks later,
you put everything into it, right? Put your life into it.
Yeah. And took on a lot of expenses, a lot of debt. 2 weeks later, doors closed for 3 months. And that was tough, along with everything else that was going on. Last year was a difficult time. But yeah. So anyways, this year I'm like, okay, finally, I'm gonna start bringing people out. Like, let's do this, and of course I had Shanji, Victor, but then I also got to bring one of my favorites. I didn't mention him either. I should have mentioned him. Lucas Lepri, that guy, cleanest jiu-jitsu. Oh my God. Who wins world titles without even getting scored an advantage on? Hajar was incredible, submitted everybody. But even then, some people would get
if he makes one advantage, you're done.
Yeah,
That's
some people would still sweep
It's like
Hajar.
Danny Moraes. Do you remember Danny Moraes?
Yes.
He's from Gracie, Humaita.
Yeah, he was more safe.
Right.
Lepri
No. He's a different level. Yeah, different level.
But yeah, I trained with Daniel before. But back in the days.
Similar. Like, as far as like if you make some advantage, it's hard to get that back. It's done.
But Lepri, just so complete, takedown, guard, pass, finish, everything clean. I had him at my academy this year. Amazing. He was one of the ones I was so pumped for. And I had several others as well. And I'm just kind of trying to go through my list, and I have some big name guys I've been talking to. Is like, man, we got to get you out. I'm ready when you are. Like, let's do this. And so that's something I'm excited to be at this stage in the career where, like, even the guys that are from other teams that I battled with, we have so much mutual respect. It's not like back when we're still fighting. Of course, I'm not going to say, hey, come to a seminar. We're still fighting each other, but now most of the fighting's done. And I can look at them and just say, man, I love your jiu-jitsu. I'd love to learn from you. I want my students to learn from you. Can I get you out? And they're the same. They're like, man, yeah, come on, let's do it.
It's amazing, right?
So amazing. Going back to the relationships, even the ones that aren't my side-by-side brothers or training partners, you can still, when you've carried yourself in the right way, that's also part of the timeless jiu-jitsu, is like your attitude, your character. You're friends with everybody. You've earned all the respect, because you did it the hard way.
Teachers with respect.
And I can look at some of these guys, like Romulo, for example. I can look at Romulo, and I know what kind of man he is, without even, we don't call each other every week or whatever. I don't see him. I don't really know him, but I know him. And I know what kind of fighter he was, because we fought each other. All hard. Like over half our matches went to overtime.
You fought him at Santa Fe, New Mexico one time, right?
Yes, we did. We had 6 matches, and they were all wars. I fought him for 30 minutes.
You guys came out.
Yeah, I fought him for 30 minutes in Beijing, China. ADCC final, and they were all wars. And then I see him as a teacher, as a sensei with his guys, and the everyday Pohada movement and everything. And like, I'm just like, man, he was actually going to come out last month, but he had a little bit of an injury, and he was like, man, if I go, I want to train, I want to feel good, I don't want to have anything holding me back. So we're postponing that one, but I've also spent a lot of time with Hajar as well.
Hajar, okay.
The first time I trained with Hajar, I was 16, he was 18. We were blue belts, and I trained with Hajar, while we were kids, while he was coming up. And then every time I'm in London, I train with him, and we have a pretty good.
Where did you guys train when you were teenagers?
Gracie Baja.
Oh yeah, okay.
Because Carlos Machado, the Machados.
We used to go. You guys used to go there, yeah.
And so I trained with a lot of those guys. I trained with Braulio back in the days. Braulio's been in my academy before as well. He's another one I got to throw out there. Just so dangerous, so innovative as well.
Reverse triangles, all
dangerous
that stuff,
everywhere. And he would come up with all these funky, crazy new things that you don't expect.
Innovative.
Yeah.
Pushing the boundaries.
Hajar's another one that I want to have out. There are a lot of guys, and I've been talking to him. I was talking to Bashesha last weekend, and I think it's so cool now that he's fighting MMA, and we were talking, and we're kind of giving him a couple pointers on the MMA style, just sharing some of what I experienced, and he's so nice. That's the kind of champions that you want. That's, Victor Hugo is the same way, just pure, genuine, humble, the attitude, I love those guys. But Bushesha, we've always got along well. We competed against each other once, and he's another one I'd love to have out. So that's what I'm doing now. That's what I want to do.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. I got to get you out too sometime, man. Let's do it.
An honor. Yeah.
It's
an honor to have you out here, man. Like, speaking of, it's been a long time coming.
Yeah, for sure.
I had Jeff here, and I'm such big fans of right
what up, Glover? What up, Glover?
Seeing you guys grow up, and just put your foot down on the gas and going for it, right?
We had some fun too, because we're both going to these places, and a lot of times we didn't really have anyone to take, so we would stay together, we'd room together, and after the tournament we'd always hang out and talk about everything, and just, man, good times. And
like Mike Fowler, right? Mike Fowler.
Yeah, Fowler. Yeah. There was a time where it was like me, Glover, Fowler, Cooper, and then not too long after JT came in, we were kind of the Americans holding it down. I think I'm the oldest out of all of them. Well, actually Glover is a couple months older than me, but I got my black belt before he did, so I was kind of in there a little bit before him. But we kind of grew up together, and I used to see those guys in Brazil. I used to see JT in Brazil. JT's another one that I'd love to have out. Much respect for him. Beautiful game, beautiful, very complete. So I have my list, but Glover's there. He actually came by this year. He was there this year. I just want to get everyone out there and learn from everybody.
What's one last question? What's the legacy you want to leave behind of your, you mentioned a few things. What's a legacy that you want to leave behind at the end of the day? You're 65 years old, 70 years old. You're looking back at your career and, giving, dedicating yourself to the martial arts, and what do you want to be remembered for?
Oh man. I think just, being a true martial artist, being a martial artist, first and foremost, the character, the example, more for who I am, not what I've done. And just giving everything to this, like in the pure way. When every time I fought, I really fought. I always put it out there. I never, like, the style was an open game, and we go, live by the sword, die by the sword. And so the way that for each level, the way that I've been a student, the way that I've been a teacher, and the way that I've been a competitor, not necessarily the titles, but just how I carried myself, and the respect that I earned. But then also trying to give back and teach and develop my own martial artists, and just spread and share everything that I've learned, and try to make a positive impact, and just hopefully inspire people, and if they've been around me on the mats with me, hopefully left a good feeling for them. After that, I'm going to do my best downstairs and give my heart to your guys in this class that we'll do. And that's it. Just giving my best. I took my beatings and I kept going. And that's also important for me to give and talk about, is like, the perseverance and just never quitting, just keep going. Because if you don't quit, you're going to become a black belt, and anything is possible.
Reach your potential.
Yes, exactly. That's why I talk about Napoleon Hill and the Think and Grow Rich book, and just that kind of stuff. I hope to inspire people and hopefully made a positive impact on as many as possible. And that's it. That's it. I just love what I do.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Thank you, brother.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Much respect to you as well.
Thank you, brother.